Have you ever noticed, like, the completely bizarre paradox of modern eating? You can consume a meal containing two or even, I don't know, 3,000 calories.
Right, which is just a massive amount of food.
Exactly. I mean, it's enough sheer energy to theoretically power your body for an entire day.
Mm.
And yet, 2 hours later, your brain is absolutely screaming at you that you're starving.
Oh, totally. It's a terrifying biological override.
It really is. Your stomach is physically stretched. Your bloodstream is like, Bill, you are rummaging through the pantry looking for a snack.
Yeah, it just proves that eating food and actually signaling to your body that it's been fed well, those are two completely different physiological processes.
Right. Which is wild.
It's a massive cellular miscommunication. Like,
Yeah.
we are feeding the system, but we aren't delivering the specific biological codes that actually tell the human brain to power down the hunger drive.
Welcome to this deep dive. Today, our mission is to decode that exact miscommunication. For you, the busy learner who wants to understand the actual mechanisms of human health without wading through like an absolute avalanche of conflicting diet trends, we're stripping everything down to the studs.
Yeah, we are focusing on one relentlessly repeated foundational truth about diet, fullness, and weight management.
And we're doing that by looking at a piece of source material titled Chia Seeds and Flaxseeds for Fat Loss Podcast, script.docxx. Okay, let's unpack this, because the document we received for this deep dive is incredibly unique.
It really is. It's pretty unusual.
Yeah, it doesn't have an introduction. It doesn't have a conclusion. It is literally a single, highly concentrated sentence repeated dozens of times on the page.
Like a meditative mantra or something.
Exactly. The author stripped away every ounce of fluff, leaving only this. Chia seeds and flax seeds provide fiber, omega-3 fats, and plant nutrients to promote fullness and complement healthy weight management.
You know, when a source repeats a single sentence 79 times, it's a structural challenge to the reader.
Oh, for sure. It's demanding that we stop skimming.
Right. It forces us to look at the anatomy of this specific claim and ask, well, why these particular words were chosen over literally any others.
So we are going to deconstruct this single statement word by word. For you listening, this is the ultimate bottom line. We want to understand the exact mechanics of why this holds so much weight.
Let's start with the specific biochemical crew the source identifies. The text specifically groups three things together: fiber, omega-3 fats, and plant nutrients.
Right, and my immediate instinct when I see a list like this is to assume it's just, a generic inventory of healthy-sounding words.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to push back on this grouping. I tend to think of this like a highly specialized construction crew where each nutrient has a distinct but interconnected job.
Oh, I like that analogy.
Thanks. But why do you think the source isolates these three specific elements together? Is it just a list, or is there a reason they are grouped as a package deal?
What's fascinating here is that this is not a random grocery list. It is a highly deliberate, synergistic triad.
Okay, synergistic how?
Well, to understand why the source highlights them together, we really have to look at how they behave molecularly when they enter the pretty harsh environment of your digestive tract. Let's take the first element, which is fiber.
Okay.
Specifically, the soluble fiber found in massive quantities in chia and flax seeds.
Soluble meaning it interacts with water, right?
It doesn't just interact with water, it actually binds to it. Soluble fiber is hydrophilic. So at a molecular level, when it hits the water in your stomach, it forms this thick, viscous gel matrix.
Wow, okay.
Now, the common understanding is that this gel just takes up space. But chemically, this gel matrix acts as a biological time-release capsule.
Wait, really? Like a medication capsule?
Exactly like that. It physically traps carbohydrates and digestive enzymes, which significantly slows down the rate at which enzymes like amylase, for example, can break down sugars.
Oh, which prevents the massive glucose spike in the blood and then subsequently the massive insulin crash that usually triggers cravings.
You got it. But that gel matrix does something else too, which brings us to the second element, the omega-3 fats, specifically alpha-linolenic acid, or ALA.
Right, the healthy fats everyone always talks about.
Yeah, but omega-3s are incredibly delicate. They are highly susceptible to oxidation, meaning they degrade rapidly when exposed to light, heat, or, the highly acidic environment of the human stomach.
Wait, so if they're that fragile, how do they survive digestion long enough to actually benefit us? Like, stomach acid is intense.
And that is the synergy right there. The viscous gel matrix created by the fiber acts as a physical shield, It envelops the delicate omega-3 fats, protecting them from rapid oxidation in the stomach acid.
Oh, wow. So it literally escorts them safely into the small intestine where they can be properly absorbed.
Exactly. And once absorbed, those omega-3s are integrated directly into the phospholipid bilayer of your cell membranes.
The phospholipid bilayer, that's the outer shell of the cell, right?
Correct. The outer shell. And the presence of omega-3s makes that cellular membrane more fluid and flexible.
Okay, and why does fluidity matter?
Because a fluid cell membrane means the receptor proteins sitting on the outside of the cell, the ones waiting for metabolic instructions, they can function optimally.
So the fiber ensures the safe delivery of the fats, and the fats ensure the cells are actually capable of receiving signals.
You nailed it.
But where do the plant nutrients fit into this construction crew? The source specifically names them as the third pillar.
Right, so to understand the plant nutrients, specifically things like polyphenols and lignans that are abundant in these seeds, we have to understand the concept of oxidative stress.
You hear that term thrown around a lot in wellness circles, but what does it actually mean mechanically?
Mechanically, it comes down to cellular exhaust. When your mitochondria burn fuel to create energy, they occasionally produce a byproduct. It's a highly unstable molecule missing an electron, known as a free radical.
And because it's missing an electron, it's structurally desperate.
Right. It is a chemical thief. That free radical will violently rip an electron away from the nearest structure just to stabilize itself. Usually, it rips it right out of that delicate cell membrane we just talked about, causing microscopic damage.
Which is oxidative stress.
Yes, and if left unchecked, this damage impairs cellular function and triggers systemic inflammation.
Ah, and this is where the antioxidants and the plant nutrients step in.
They are the ultimate defense mechanism. The plant nutrients are packed with complex molecular structures that have extra electrons to spare.
Oh, that's clever.
Yeah, they willingly donate an electron to the free radical, neutralizing the threat before it can, tear a hole in your cell membrane.
So to answer my own question from earlier, this isn't just a list of random health benefits. The source isolates these three because they form a self-sustaining system.
Exactly.
The fiber protects the omega-3s during digestion. The omega-3s build a fluid, highly communicative cell membrane. And the plant nutrients stand guard, basically donating electrons to neutralize free radicals and protect that structural integrity.
It is an elegant, closed-loop biological system delivered in a single seed.
Which brings us directly to the outcome of this system. According to the mantra we are analyzing, the primary function of this specific triad is to promote fullness.
Right, fullness.
Now, here's where it gets really interesting. When I hear the word fullness linked to fiber, my brain goes straight to gastric distension. I imagine it like a dry sponge expanding in a bowl of water, taking up physical space.
That's the visual most people have, yeah.
Like the fiber builds a dam, it swells up, and it physically stretches the walls of the stomach. But let me challenge that mechanical view for a second.
Go for it.
If fullness was just about physical stretch, I could drink an entire gallon of water before a meal. My stomach would be incredibly distended, the stretch receptors would fire, but I know for a fact I would still be hungry 30 minutes later.
You absolutely would be.
So, is the fullness the text mentions just a physical, mechanical, space-taking thing? Or does the presence of fats and plant nutrients imply something deeper about how our body registers satisfaction?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, you are touching on the evolutionary biology of the human brain. Your brain is a survival engine, and it is profoundly skeptical.
Skeptical of what?
It knows the difference between a high-volume influx of water and an actual nutrient-dense meal. Throughout human evolution, our ancestors frequently consumed high-volume, low-calorie fibrous plants just to survive.
Right.
If physical stretch alone was enough to shut down the hunger drive permanently, early humans would have literally starved to death with full stomachs.
Because they wouldn't have been driven to seek out the actual dense calories required for survival.
Precisely. Therefore, the brain evolved to require multiple distinct checkpoints before it agrees to power down the drive to eat. Mechanical stretch, that traffic jam of the fiber sponge you mentioned, is only checkpoint number one.
Okay, so the stomach stretches, and then what happens?
When the stomach stretches, the vagus nerve senses the tension and sends a preliminary signal to the brainstem. It basically says, matter has arrived.
But the brain says, show me the biochemical proof.
Exactly. Which brings us to checkpoint number 2, nutrient sensing in the duodenum. This is the first section of the small intestine, and this is where the omega-3 fats become critical.
Oh, this is where the protected payload gets delivered.
Yes. The lining of your small intestine is packed with specialized enteroendocrine cells, specifically a type called I cells. These cells are basically chemical testing laboratories.
Okay.
When the protected omega-3 fats finally arrive and wash over these I cells, the cells detect the presence of long-chain fatty acids.
They realize the dense calories have arrived.
Right, and the immediate reaction is the release of a powerful satiety hormone called cholecystokinin, or CCK.
ECK.
CCK is the biochemical proof the brain was waiting for. It gets released into the bloodstream, but it also binds directly to the endings of the vagus nerve in the gut.
Wait, the same nerve that handles the mechanical stretch?
The very same. But CCK changes the electrical frequency of the nerve signal. It shoots a completely different urgent message up to the hypothalamus, which is the hunger center of the brain.
That is wild.
It gets better. Simultaneously, CCK travels back to the stomach and forces the pyloric sphincter, the valve at the bottom of the stomach, to contract.
So it literally locks the door and traps the food in the stomach for longer.
Exactly. It creates a physical bottleneck to maximize nutrient absorption while simultaneously flooding the brain with the chemical signal that high-quality energy has been secured.
Okay, so that is the omega-3 contribution, but there is still one more checkpoint, right? Checkpoint number 3.
Right. Checkpoint number 3, cellular hunger.
This has to be the plant nutrients.
Spot on. The brain is actively monitoring the blood for the presence of trace minerals and micronutrients. You can eat a massive meal of highly refined, nutrient-void fast food. You will hit checkpoint 1 with stomach stretch.
Yeah.
You will even hit checkpoint 2 because of the fat content triggering CCK. But because the meal lacks polyphenols, antioxidants, and trace minerals, checkpoint 3 fails.
And a few hours later, the brain reinitiates the hunger drive because it is still, desperately searching for the micronutrients it needs to perform basic cellular repair.
Yes, exactly. By delivering fiber, omega-3s, and plant nutrients simultaneously, chia and flax seeds don't just stretch the stomach. They satisfy all 3 evolutionary checkpoints.
They hit all the marks.
They trigger the mechanical stretch, they initiate the hormonal release of CCK, and they deliver the micronutrient payload that quiets cellular hunger. They promote a multi-layered, neurologically secure fullness.
This fundamentally changes how I view the word fullness. We usually treat fullness as a physical sensation in our gut, like being stuffed after Thanksgiving.
Yeah, but it's so much more than that.
Right. What the source is actually describing is a neurological state. It is the successful communication between the gut's chemical sensors and the brain's survival center.
Completely.
And because these seeds execute that communication so flawlessly, we arrive at the final part of the mantra. The source states that they complement healthy weight management.
This raises an important question, and it's perhaps the most crucial linguistic choice in the entire document.
So what does this all mean? The title of the document is literally Chia Seeds and Flax Seeds for Fat Loss.
Yeah, the title is bold.
Right. And the modern diet industry is totally obsessed with active, aggressive verbs. Foods are marketed as things that melt fat, burn calories, or destroy belly fat. Do we misinterpret superfoods as magic bullets?
Oh, constantly.
Because the actual text of our source abandons that aggression entirely. It uses a structurally supportive word, complement. I tend to think of this like a supporting actor in a movie rather than the lead role or, the suspension system in a car.
The suspension system is a perfect way to look at it.
An engine and the steering wheel, that's your overall dietary pattern, your caloric balance, your daily movement. That is what actually drives the car forward.
Exactly.
But if you have no suspension system, every single bump in the road is going to violently throw the car off course. You are going to crash, regardless of how good the engine is. The seeds aren't the engine, they have the suspension system.
And this raises an important question about why most weight management strategies fail. They fail because people try to drive the car with no suspension. They rely entirely on a psychological concept, willpower, to override a biological drive.
And willpower is basically just the prefrontal cortex, the logical long-term planning part of the brain, trying to wrestle control away from the hypothalamus, which is screaming for immediate calories.
It is a profound mismatch. Your prefrontal cortex is a very newly evolved, highly energy-dependent part of the brain. It fatigues easily.
Like when you're stressed after a long day at work.
Exactly. When you are stressed, tired, or emotionally drained, the prefrontal cortex powers down. The hypothalamus, however, is ancient. It is primal. It never fatigues.
Wow.
If you are operating a diet based on deprivation, you are forcing your exhausted prefrontal cortex into a daily, white-knuckled wrestling match with millions of years of evolutionary survival programming.
And eventually evolution wins. You cave, you binge, and the cycle repeats.
This is exactly why the source uses the word complement. Chia and flax seeds do not magically increase your metabolic rate to burn fat. They do something much more sustainable.
They fix the communication error.
Yes. By delivering the nutritional triad that satisfies all three checkpoints of fullness, they chemically quiet the hypothalamus. They remove the biological drive to overeat.
They basically stop the wrestling match before it even begins.
When your mechanical, hormonal, and cellular hunger signals are all switched off, your prefrontal cortex doesn't have to expend massive amounts of energy fighting cravings.
Making the choice to eat a balanced, moderate meal becomes effortless.
It becomes the default state rather than a daily struggle.
That is the essence of complementing a strategy. They absorb the shock of cravings so that the engine of your healthy habits can actually stay on the road long term. It removes the friction from the system.
It really does.
It is incredibly empowering, too, to realize that failure to maintain a diet is rarely a moral failing or a lack of discipline. More often than not, it is simply a failure to satisfy the biological checkpoints your brain requires to feel secure.
When you feed the biology correctly, the behavior follows naturally.
Let's distill what we've actually uncovered here for you, the listener. We started with a source document that looked pretty absurd. A single monotonous sentence repeated 79 times.
Right. It seemed completely bizarre at first glance.
But by treating it with serious scrutiny, we bypassed the usual noise of the diet industry and extracted a masterclass in human physiology. We moved past the superficial advice to just eat more fiber and uncovered the mechanics of a closed-loop system.
Yeah, we saw how the soluble fiber forms a protective matrix that escorts delicate omega-3s into the gut.
And once they're there, they trigger the hormonal release of CCK, while the plant nutrients neutralize the oxidative stress of cellular metabolism.
And by satisfying the mechanical, hormonal, and micronutrient demands of the human brain, this triad promotes a state of deep neurological fullness.
It acts as the ultimate biological suspension system, complementing healthy weight management by eliminating the need to rely on sheer willpower.
It is the difference between fighting your body and actually cooperating with it.
For you listening, this deep dive provides something incredibly rare in the modern wellness space. A foundational truth rooted in mechanics, not magic. You don't have to guess why this works anymore.
No, you now understand the cellular communication happening inside your own gut.
You have a definitive blueprint for how to send the correct signals to your brain. And as we conclude this analysis, I want to leave you with one final provocation.
Let's hear it.
Our source document forced us to stare at a single, unglamorous sentence over and over again until we recognized its immense value. It makes you wonder, how many other simple, structural, biological truths are we completely ignoring right now, simply because we are too distracted searching for a complicated, elusive biological hack?
That is a fascinating thought.
The most profound solutions are rarely hidden in the jungle. They are usually the simple, paved roads we forgot how to walk. Keep that in mind next time you sit down to eat.